Hello and welcome. Before you continue, do be aware that I sometimes discuss sensitive or uncomfortable topics in my videos as they relate to the books I am reading or writing. Please take a moment to view any content warnings in the description. Thank you! My reading choices this year have, so far, all been in line with the short that I released near the start of 2023. That video was taken down as I am simply not comfortable posting my face online, but basically it boiled down to forcing myself to read books I hate for clicks is out, reading books I love and am genuinely interested in is in, and I've done that. I have thoroughly enjoyed every book I've read so far in 2023, each of them earning full rose bouquets from me, which, if you're new here, is how I say they got 5 out of 5 stars. But my tastes definitely tend to skew dark, and the books I've read this year have all been pretty dang heavy psychologically speaking, which means I was due for a break, and that break came in the form of a D&D-esque fantasy rom-com, so this is Ever After. This will probably be a pretty short review because there's not a lot I can say outside of the synopsis. This book is exactly what it says on the tin, utilizing the tropes that you would expect to see, and that is good actually. Not every book needs to break new ground in genre writing. So This Is Ever After is what I call a popcorn book, similar to how some films are popcorn movies. I don't engage with it because I want a challenging experience that's going to expand my mind. I want a light, fun, enjoyable time that I don't have to think too hard about. And that's not a quality judgment. Popcorn books and popcorn movies can be good or bad or in between. The best way I can explain the difference is like Get Out versus Nightmare on Elm Street. I love both films, but I don't eat popcorn and crack jokes with the squad while watching Get Out. There's a certain level of camp involved in a popcorn book that gives it the right vibe, and so This Is Ever After has it. So the plot. Eric, along with his ragtag band of adventurers, including a paladin, a mage, a bard, and a rogue, is destined to slay the evil king that has oppressed the kingdom for 40 years. And he does so in the first chapter. The first scene, basically. Thus, it's happily ever after, right? Well, the throne sits empty, and Eric kind of jokingly claims it, not realizing that a magic spell will bind him to the throne and require him to bind his soul to another in order to not die. Now Eric only has until his 18th birthday to find his soulmate, but he's already in love with his best friend Matt, who is also the only other person who knows the whole truth of Eric's situation. After an absolutely botched confession, Eric and Matt team up to try to find Eric a soulmate to save his life, while also figuring out how to run a kingdom that has been in disrepair for longer than their combined years of life. If the plot summary is something that interests you, if you think this sounds like a good time, then you are right, and you should read this book. It is very tongue-in-cheek with its humor, and it definitely has the vibe of something that a group of friends sitting around the D&D table would come up with and have a lot of fun laughing at their characters' failed perception checks. It should be pretty immediately obvious before you even open the book that Eric and Matt are going to get together. The amount of pining from these two idiots had my bedroom smelling like a goddamn forest. Normally, miscommunication on this scale would annoy me, but it is very clearly being used for comedic purposes here, and that is more likely to get a pass from me, especially with how hilarious some of the situations they ended up in were. Early on, Eric finds a journal from the princess detailing her wooing of another noble lady, and he decides that this is peak romance, and he is going to use it as his how-to book to woo a soulmate from amongst his circle of friends. Every attempt backfires, and in doing so sets him and Matt up perfectly, only for the both of them to think that the other doesn't feel the same way. This joke gets reused a few times, but it's a damn good one, and the character writing is solid enough to pull it off. Not amazing. I don't remember most of the side characters' names a week or two after finishing the book, but it's good enough. It's pretty much going to be spoilers from here on out, barely, because I'm sure you can guess where this is headed, and your first thought is almost guaranteed to be correct. I cannot stress enough that if you like rom-coms, if you like fantasy, this book is going to be your jam. It might be your whole damn PB&J. And honestly, the one twist I want to talk about is so minor that I hesitate to even call it a spoiler, but I do want to give people the chance to leave if they want to go in mostly blind. So if you're going to be leaving at this point, please consider giving this video a thumbs up and subscribing to my channel before you go to support a queer fantasy and horror author and reader. If you want, you can pause me now to check out the links in the description for my website, Patreon, Etsy store, and social media. It means a lot and really helps give me the drive to keep making videos. If you're sticking around for spoilers, make sure you add a crown to your comment, and let's get into it. The one spoiler is this. The rest of the party, friend group, whatever you want to call them, are actively trying to get Matt and Eric together. They have known that Matt is in love with Eric the entire time, and have been trying to push the two together. So while Matt and Eric are trying to manufacture romantic scenarios for Eric and each of the other friends, those other friends are also trying to push Matt and Eric together. I don't know, there was just something about this kind of unintentional double cross and comedy of errors where everyone is miscommunicating just enough to get into shenanigans, but not to the point of causing drama. It tickled my funny bone. The scene that most prominently stands out to me is when Eric decides to try to get better at swordsmanship to woo their paladin through close contact, which does not even slightly happen, and the freaking light bulb goes on, and the paladin is like, "Ah, yes, great, you should teach someone in order to get better," and brings Matt over, and then Eric starts doing all the stereotypical putting his hands on Matt's hands to get his position right, and it's so obvious what the intent of this was, but they still miss it. Y'all, I was rolling on the floor. So, that is So This Is Ever After. It's kind of one of those books where the most I can say is, like, do you want popcorn? Then you'll like this popcorn. Is it going to be the best popcorn you've ever eaten? No, but it sure will hit the spot if you're craving popcorn. And in this case, the popcorn is a fantasy rom-com with tons and tons of LGBTQ representation from all across the spectrum. So enjoy that, because I certainly did, and I'll see you in the next review.
So, Rose Garden, what are your thoughts? Let me know in the comments. While you're there, don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more like it. If you would like to support my writing, I highly encourage you to sign up for my newsletter on the Roselin Books website. You can also support me by making a donation on Patreon or Ko-fi. I use these funds to publish new books, and am trying to get enough funding to create audiobook editions of my works. All links are in the description. Keep growing until next time, Rose Garden.